Hi all, and thank you for joining us today. The goal for this webinar presentation is to go over a few wedding floral basics, as well as budgeting information, tips, hints, and trends to consider. I also want to make sure you leave with a couple of resources to aid in your wedding planning. My name is Virginia Marie. I am a freelance event planner and wedding coordinator. I've been working in events for about 10 years now and have been independently coordinating weddings the last 3. I've been involved in over 30 weddings, and I definitely look forward to more in the future. Flower number 5 is the floral vendor sponsoring today's event. They opened their shop in 2011, the fall of 2011, I believe, and they are located in the Winter Park, Orlando area, technically the Audubon Park Garden District. Within the community, they're fairly well known for their high-end aesthetic and commitment to quality, so I would absolutely recommend them for any of your floral needs beyond just wedding floral. They're absolutely fabulous. Before we get started, I did want to invite you all to the live event accompaniment to this webinar that Flower number 5 and I will be hosting in October on Saturday the 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. At the event, we'll be reviewing and live demonstrating similar content to today's presentation, but we'll be able to go more in depth, have example arrangements for you to view, and floral artists will be available for consultation. I'll display this information again at the end of our presentation today, but I did want to go ahead and make sure you are aware that this event was happening so you could keep it in mind. According to the most recent calculations by the the average cost of a wedding in the United States is $35,329. And if you look there, you'll see that the average budget in Florida is about $13,000 above the national average. Now, this is really important to know when going into your wedding planning because it can be quite the investment. And while there are definitely ways to cut costs, I think it's important to have all the information up front and to be realistic in your decision making. So if the average cost is above $35,000 for a wedding, and about 7% of that budget is typically dedicated to wedding floral, we're talking bouquets, centerpieces, ceremony decor, boutonnieres, etc. The average cost of wedding floral alone can be around $2,500. Again, there are always ways to lower cost, but you have to know what you're willing and not willing to compromise on. Some helpful hints to consider when trying to cut down on your budget is using bridal party bouquets for the head table, since it's a rather large space, and this can be a really great way to repurpose your ceremony flowers. You can also consider flowers with larger blooms. For example, hydrangeas can be a really great option. They're very full flowers and are typically around $5 to $6 a stem. So say you had your bridesmaids carry hydrangeas as their bouquets, then all of a sudden you've cut down on, multiple hundreds of dollars to 15, 20, 30, depending on how many bridesmaids and how many hydrangeas you're interested in. You can also look into incorporating less expensive flower types. For example, a single rose can be around $4 to $5 retail, while carnations come out to about $1.50 each. But if you're crafty, you can always consider a few DIY projects. For example, making your own non-floral boutonnieres or non-floral centerpieces. Any items that have a high labor cost can really make an impact on your budget. You can also look into unconventional bouquets for either the bride or the bridesmaids or all of the above. If you're creative, you can always find a way to balance your budget. All you need is a quick internet or Etsy search, I apologize, because there are so many options out there and some pretty amazing products. For example, wooden or paper flowers. All of the images you're seeing right now are paper flowers and they're all available on Etsy. It all really just depends on your style and the vision you have for your big day. Some other information to consider is that most flowers have a season when they're in bloom. This can seem like pretty commonplace information, but if you don't work with floral often, it can absolutely be a factor that is easily overlooked. Now, that being said, most flowers can be found off season in other parts of the world, but the cost will be much higher because you're working with international distributors and shipping costs. The good news is that there are a ton of similar substitutions when it comes to flowers, and there are also a lot of great resources online regarding what is available when, and I've listed three here. If you don't have a particular style in mind, there are a few trends for 2017 and 2018 that I would recommend considering. If you're struggling for design ideas, you can simple searches for wedding trends online or even just scrolling through Pinterest can be a great way to visualize your big day and to review style types. A few of my current trends are the use of metallics and pastel colors. I think they absolutely soften and kind of specialize decor. I'm also really in love with the idea of hanging decor, like the centerpiece overhang in the top left photo. Also, I'm a big fan of greenery, like the runner in the image on the bottom right. And it's always a great way, if you can find a way to do so, to include personal details because you got to think about it. This is your big day, and you'd want it to reflect you. Now that we've reviewed budget basics and a few ideas, let's talk about what you should consider when picking your wedding vendor. And this can apply beyond floral. The first thing I would say is to take recommendations lightly. Style, taste, opinions are all subjective, and just because one person had a good or bad experience doesn't mean you'll have the same one, especially if your style, expectations, and or budget are vastly different. My best advice is to do your own research, trust your instincts, and be honest with your personal style and individual budget. You really want to make sure that you and your vendor are on the same page, speaking the same language. And the easiest way to do that is to be direct. For some people, it can be a little uncomfortable to talk specific figures, but when it comes down to wedding planning, it's a vital aspect of the conversation. The worst thing you can do is fall in love with an idea that isn't realistically within your price range, and then find out later after you've built up an image of your head of how you want your big day to look. Conversely, the easiest way to make the most of your money is to be honest with your vendor because you never know what kind of magic they can make happen. For more information or inspiration from today's presentation, you're welcome to visit Flower Number Five's website, Facebook, or Instagram. I've listed the accounts there, and I've also included my own in case you are in need of a coordinator or any other wedding planning advice. At this time, we'll open up for questions. Any takers? Alrighty. If not, that's perfectly fine. I have provided my email in case you think of anything after we wrap or prefer to ask privately. You can reach me at vmarieevents@gmail.com. We'll give it one more go. But I know sometimes on a platform like this, it's a little uncomfortable to ask questions. So again, my email is there if you do have any thoughts or questions after this. And then I'll go ahead and put up the live event information one last time. I definitely encourage and welcome you to join us in October. We'll have pastries and coffee in the morning and libations and hors d'oeuvres in the afternoon, in addition to the demonstrations and presentations. So it should be a good time. And if you are currently planning your own wedding, it's definitely a great way to get some of those questions asked in person because we'll have floral artists as well as wedding planners available. Finally, I just want to thank you for being here today and taking the time to join us. If you are newly engaged, I do want to go ahead and extend my sincerest congratulations on this exciting time in your life. And if you do have any further thoughts, again, you're welcome to email me or reach out to me on social media. And thanks again, all. I really hope I get a chance to see you in October.